I posted it on Instagram, January of 2022, from the 1st to the 31st. I did $93,000.
What?
I posted my paycheck from
Multi-Pro. So you grossed 93. So how much did you make yourself for that month?
I made $93,000 before taxes.
Damn.
Autoweb. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Autoweb.
Everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, the president of Dealer Synergy, and the creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Facebook group and the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And I'm excited because we got a special guest today, Mr. Damian Mikal. Now, Damian was making moves and then communicated to me, just some of the things that he experienced to get to where he's at in success. So I'm not only am I excited about his success to share with everybody, but also how he got here is really interesting. So first of all, welcome to the show, my brother. It's a pleasure having you.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
All right, cool. So let's go through it. From reading what you had sent me in the last 2.5 years, so that's right before the pandemic, right? So for the last 2.5 years, you've been averaging between 40 and 70 units on the floor. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right. What's the most amount of cars you sold in 1 month?
I did 77.5 units.
Yo, that's crazy. I mean, that is so crazy. Everybody knows when I sold cars, I used to average about 33 cars a month. And I thought back then that I was the king of the castle. You know what I mean? Because, everybody was like a 10-car person there. And then they had me and then my nemesis there named Carter Neese. He was the leasing guy, and I just got into the internet stuff. And we did 30 cars, and nobody even came close to that. So when I hear stories like yours or from Cody Carter, it like blows my mind because, of how much more we are capable of. Because I thought I was doing a great job at 33, but then it's like, that's cute, boo-boo, 33. I just did 77.5. So like, are you blown away by your own number, or is it something that's like not a big deal? Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, so for me, it's just staying consistent and just trying to take it to the next level. There's guys out there that's doing 100 units in a month. So just trying to really crack the algorithm on what it takes to take it to the next level, but not only, to crush it, but to sustain it. So I tip my hat off to the people that can sustain the success, right? Because it's easy to go have a run. I was doing this in Atlanta. I was at 140 car spot. I was still turning out like 40 to 60 units a month. And then I came down to Tampa and was at a bigger dealership. The production it transferred over. I think that every dealership has holes. And, if you're in tuned and you can find those holes and then you can maximize it, you got to constantly be able to adapt, right? So what helped me sell 40 to 60 in Atlanta, it's not necessarily going to be the same thing that's going to help me do that in Tampa, because every market's different and every dealership's different. But just staying hungry, staying consistent, and know that there's always someone out there that's doing more than me. For me, it's not even necessarily about like the money factor or any of that, but it's just about knowing that I left it all out there and that I maximized my potential. So that's what pushes me.
Man, that's crazy. And let me just give you some numbers for a second. There are 16,500 plus franchise dealerships in the United States. And the average NADA profile is that they have about 10 salespeople, 2 sales managers, and F&I, GM, GSM, et cetera. The average salesperson before the pandemic was only doing 9.6 units, less than 10 cars a month. Now, because of the inventory shortage and all the factory direct orders and things like that, I think it's like 7 or 8%. I don't know the actual data right now because it's so fluid, but it's less. So it's mind blowing. That's just franchise dealers. Now, wrap in your mind, there's an additional 40,000 used car dealerships, independent dealerships. I mean, even big operations. So there's almost 60,000 car dealerships, 500,000 automotive sales professionals, 500,000 people doing what you're doing. And you're doing like so much more, brother. It's not just like great. Now I hear what you're saying about you're focused on the 100, but there's only people like in one hand you could count all the people in the United States selling over 100 cars at a franchise dealership, right? So again, like, how do you get from the masses doing mediocre basic shit to not being distracted by little things that look big to other people, like 20 cars, 30 cars, 40 cars? How do you skip all of that and just shoot for the stars? Because I think that's what a lot of people don't do. A lot of people don't think big enough or dream, big enough.
Yes. So for me, little insight to myself. I ended up getting locked up when I was 19. I did 6 years. So, I was making great money in the streets, doing my thing. And I had made a promise to myself and a promise to God. I'm like, look, I'll do everything legit. But in order for me to make, good on my word and be 100% legit, I got a certain number in my head that I got to be able to make. And I didn't even necessarily know how this was going to come about, but I just knew like I had to do something that would generate a certain amount of revenue. Otherwise, I'm going to end up going back to what I know. I was in the streets because of the money. It's not that I wanted to be in the streets. I was money motivated and I wanted the freedom that came with having money. So for me, it's just a constant reminder that 4 years ago, I came home, was sleeping on someone's couch and working at a car wash for $6 an hour. And, that's my why. And I just never want to go back. Right. So for me, I think anytime you're a person that's selling a lot of units at a dealership, it's a few things that you got to be comfortable with, right? You got to be comfortable with the isolation because, right, if you're selling 75, the guys that are selling 6 or 7 aren't necessarily celebrating. Hey, you hit 74, so you got to have that hunger and that why internally. Because you got to also understand that you may not get the support, to keep taking it to that next level because not everyone looks at it like, man, they're ambitious. Some people will view you like a glutton. So it's got to be very resilient. But I just don't want my story I didn't want my story to be like, man, he got locked up young and he was a waste of potential. So I'm just trying to maximize my time and just constantly keep pushing. It's not even, like I said, it's not a number. It's just knowing that I've exhausted myself and I left it all out there. So whatever that number turns out to be at the end of the month, if I can look myself in the mirror and know I exhausted myself, I'm completely fine with that. And then it's just proven to myself that I'm the baddest motherfucker at any dealership I go to. And that's just how I operate and just staying consistent. If you stay consistent, I don't think when you sell a lot of vehicles, I don't think there's anything amazing that people do, right? I just think they understand that you have to have your process and you have to consistently work your process. And after a while of working that process, it's not necessarily as exciting as it was in the beginning, but you got to trust that process and know that those things done consecutively are going to have a compound effect and it's going to continue to develop and it's going to build into something beautiful.
And listen, you just killed that with so many jewels, so many nuggets and so many things. So I'm going to just randomly freestyle off of what you just said. First of all, much respect from turning like severe adversity into success. I mean, as you know, my background, I could that resonates with me because I know from how I grew up in Brooklyn and Queens, how crazy that street life is and how difficult it is to survive that stuff. But then not only to survive, you're thriving. Selling 70 cars or 77 and a half cars in a month, and you were working for BMW before too, caked up, that's a lot of money. And so most people that have endured what you've endured and been through what you've been through, they don't even think that they're going to not go back on a reoffend. They're expecting it. So you're so far in a different direction of just being happy, not getting locked up again or having some mediocre job at a whatever, that's a blessing and that's inspiring. And more people need to hear that story on so many different levels. Let's take it back to the automotive industry, but this is why I freaking love this industry. And I'm so passionate about it because this is an industry that it truly personifies the American dream, where if you have $1 in a dream or you want to work hard and you want to be all you can be, and that whole like army slogan, well, shit, in the automotive industry, you can. Where else in the world can you have an ex-convict that did 6 years in prison, not look like everybody else around them nationality wise and stuff like that, and come off and be able to sell 77 units and make an ungodly amount of money because you've been doing that during the pandemic when the grosses have been high and everything else. I mean, man, like that's an inspiration. So like, before we go anywhere, that needs to be acknowledged, man. Like, that's crazy. How did you have what's the word? The patience and the understanding? Because when you're young, that's when I got locked up. I went to prison at 19, and for me, there was a part where for a long time I was pissed that I was locked up. I was pissed at the world, but, and I wanted to come back and just like act a fool and get mine, back, reparations, right? But, but then something clicked that said, shit, if I have that mentality, I'm going to wind up back here forever. What happened to you? What changed your paradigm and your mentality from what you were doing to just do it the right way and stick with it?
Man, I had seen a lot of things on TV when I was locked up. And I started to see things like, people getting elected, people starting businesses, people becoming success stories. And I started to analyze them. And I'm like, look, they bleed just like I bleed. They don't have, it's not like they have 3 arms, so they're able to work at a faster pace than me. So I was like, you know what? I read a book called Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
Yes.
It talks about taking accountability for yourself. And that really shifted my mindset. And I was like, look, if I'm going to do something, I got to go all in. What made me successful when I was in the streets was I was all in, right? It's not like, hey, I'm in the streets Monday through Friday, and then the weekends I'm chilling, I'm with my family. No, I'm all in. I'm fully committed. So I quickly realized that if I wanted to do everything legit, I had to be fully committed, and I had to move with a sense of urgency.
Yo, listen, preach. This is the whole thing. You can't be who said it? Was it Mob? You can't be a halfway crook. You can't be a halfway crook. You got to be all in, and that's how you get killed. That's how you catch cases for the rest of your life. Or that's how you're broke as hell if you're an automotive professional. If you're trying to do this like you're clocking in and clocking out. Nah, you got to be about this life, morning, day, night. There is no days off. You always got to be prospecting when you're chilling with your family or your friends and somebody's talking to you, you always have got to be in that business predator mode type stuff. Man, I respect that. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay.
And so I think one of the things that also helps me is so if you go on my Instagram, it's DTheAutoPlug. I went with that because I wanted to stay true to myself, right? So when I jumped into the auto industry, I said, man, what am I going to call myself? D the car guy, D the car man. I'm like, man, fuck that. When I was in the streets, I was the plug. I'm the auto plug. If you're coming to Atlanta, if you need a vehicle, you got to hit me up. I got it. And, I just lived my truth. I think a lot of times when people jump into a sales role, they become who they feel that society wants them to be. When in reality, if you're just yourself, people are going to gravitate just to the genuine personality, and they're going to buy just off of you being genuine. I think that sells more than any word track that you can get, any script or anything. If you treat people right and you're your true, authentic self, that ether right there in itself is powerful.
Man, look, it's so crazy, when we talk about street stuff, and I'm just talking about like nonviolent stuff, just politics and things like that. It's really simple. If you want to hustle and on the streets I'm talking about, you've got to be personable. Yeah, you can turn around and be rah, rah, rah and stuff like that. Maybe when you have a whole empire built, but when you're trying to come up and build customers and get a fan base and get referrals and things like that, you can't be a monster or gangster like that. You got to turn around and be about the people and build that network. But that's the thing is, I believe that people that come from adverse situations like we've been through have, like, I think, a competitive edge. I mean, because on the streets, it's not just I'm looking to pay my light bill. It's I'm looking to survive. I'm looking to stay alive, literally and metaphorically, and I'm trying to be as comfortable as possible. Like, it's like literally what you not violent wise, but metaphorically, you eat what you kill. Meaning, like, you could make as much money as you can earn, but the key word is earn. You have to do it. You are performance based. And that's what the street life is. It's all performance based. There's no 401k. There ain't no IRA. There ain't no workman's comp. You know what I mean? It's simple. You're only making money by the skills that you put into it.
So one of the things when I jumped into the auto industry, because before that I went from car wash to fitness sales. So I was the guy, you'd come to the gym and I'd sell you a membership. Then I got promoted to the guy who was selling the personal training. And then from there, I got promoted to a area manager running like 3 gyms. And then from there, regional. And then my boss went and started a company and made me his national director. But once the pandemic came, they shut down all the fitness centers. So all my fitness centers were closed. So I pivoted. So my main thing is I want to be able to do what I can do in a dealership at any dealership. So I was in Atlanta, I was doing my thing. A lot of people told me, yo, man, you're crazy to leave that. But I'm just a firm believer, like one of my favorite artists, Jay-Z, to put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'll triple my worth. That's how I honestly feel. I feel if you develop a skill set in the automotive industry, if you know how to, come in, find the holes in the dealership, you can send me to Alaska and I'm going to be successful. And that's just my mindset. I don't believe in saying, oh, it's slow or there's no inventory. Like I was at a spot in Atlanta, and shout out to my guy, Nate, because Nate's a dog, man. That was my boy. Like we ran like nobody's business together in Atlanta. But I just truly believe, you make the most out of what you have. Mm-hmm. Right. So when I was working at BMW, there was times where we might have only had 5 BMWs on the ground and we got 10 Hondas, and the guests like, I didn't come here to buy a Honda, Mr. Customer. I didn't come here to sell Hondas. But, you make the most out of the opportunity that you have. And if you make that your mindset, you'll always be able to be successful. I think too often in the industry, we hear people talk about their dealerships and what they don't have. I think the first thing a person has to do if they want to be successful is they have to see what they have in front of them, and then they have to maximize it.
Man, I love this. I want to take a redirect for a little bit. I want to ask a bunch of like questions with quick answers. Like, again, you were like a unicorn to most of the industry. Somebody that sells that many units is not normal. It's not average. So when they have the opportunity to learn of a unicorn in the mist, they want to be able to ask the unicorn questions to figure out if they can figure out how the hell they could get something even close to this. So let's go through some questions. 1, do you have any personal assistance or do you do all this by yourself?
I had someone that grabbed my insurance and gassed my car.
Okay, cool. So that's one person that did that?
Yeah, one person that did that.
Okay, perfect. Now, what's the most amount of cars you sold in one day? And delivered in one day?
6.
6? Okay. Now, I've interviewed everybody in the United States that sells over 100 cars a month, right? And I work with a lot of these guys. And I ask them the same question because everybody wants to know the same question. Not the simple one, how do you do it? We're going to skip that. I'll get back to that. They ask this. What was the biggest leap? Yeah, I mean, meaning like if you were 20 cars, 30 cars or whatever, where was your biggest jump? Was it from like 15 to 35 or was it from 30 to 60? Like, I'm just curious, where's that biggest jump?
You got to get a system to sell 40. Once you 40, sell 40, okay, you can scale that. So when I was in Atlanta, I didn't have an assistant and I was doing the numbers I was doing. That assistant thing came about in Tampa because the gas pump and everything was just so far that it would just take you out of play. But I say if you can get to 40, you can get to 60 because then it's just a matter of getting the people in front of you. To get to 40, you got to have a pretty tight process where everything can be done expedited, right? So like your paperwork, the paperwork's going to be the fastest thing, and relaying everything. I got like a time saver sheet that as soon as the guest says yes, it's like, you said yes. Okay, add VIN specific insurance, send email here, this, that, and the third, because I'm going to grab my deal jacket. So just expediting that time.
Now that's strong, man. Talking to Ali, he's amazing. Ali Rudder, he broke the Guinness Book of World Records, etc. And the way that he sells cars is completely different than other people. His process changed. And when he told me what I'm about to say to you, it just blew my mind because I never thought of it. But then again, I've never sold 130 cars in one freaking month before. He has 4 offices, like literally, like that are all his. They're set up like a dentist's office, and all day he's literally rotating through each of the offices. So he's got multiple people there simultaneously. The other thing with Ali, which not everybody that sells 100 cars does this, but for him, he does all the F&I himself. So there is no waiting to go F&I. He takes it from A to Z with his people. So what are some of the things that you do in your process that's different than the average person? Is there anything special that you do to be able to expedite besides that get ready stuff?
So for me, I'm always constantly looking at it like, okay, if I sell, let's say this month I sell 60, I have to be able to tap back into that 60 and to be able to pull from there. So my experience, like I got the little streamers that bust off when someone buys a vehicle. Yeah. I got an actual red carpet. I just try to pride myself on the customer experience because the same thing with like people that have iPhones, right? If you ask a person who's an iPhone user, would you ever buy an Android? They're going to tell you hell no. And that's my mindset when I sell someone a vehicle. So, I pride myself on the experience, given an experience like no other. And I think that's pretty dope what you were saying about how he has the 4 offices. I think the largest component in being able to sell a massive amount of vehicles, you have to be at a dealership that's supportive of that. I think that's the hardest thing to find as a high-level salesperson, is a dealership that's supportive of that. Because a lot of places aren't, man. A lot of places aren't going to buy into that concept, even if they know that it can work. So, you just got to be sufficient. So, a lot of times I'm grabbing someone else's desk. I'm closing people at other people's desk, and just being transparent with the guests in regards to where we are throughout the process and communicating.
No, you are spot on. Okay. Going back to the rapid fire questions, how do you get most of your deals? For example, some people just work 100% on the repeat business referrals. Some people are prospecting. What's your secret recipe to sell that many cars? How do you get all your ups?
Service. I get service. I work service a lot, and service and lot traffic. It's about 50-50. And then I get probably about 15% of my business is referrals. I've only been in this market for 11 months. I was in Atlanta for like a year and a half. I was here for 11 months. And now I'm just considering, do I stay in this market or what do I do? Because like I said, you got to be, if you want to sell 100 cars, you got to be in an environment that supports that, where they're willing to give you the tools to be successful, man, because that's the hardest part. Sean, that I feel like is you got to find a place that wants to have a guy that sells that much. They have to be bought in on that.
Listen, let's rewind. I agree with you 1000%. I got crazy stories of people that sell the amount of cars you have and even more, and getting shitted on by their GM, getting hated on by their GM. I mean, it's hard out there. Like you said, I caught in between the lines. So if the listeners are listening to this, you listen to what he said. Again, the managers and owners say that they want people like that are capable, but when it comes down to it, to me, that's like in business, like $1 billion company is called a unicorn, like legitimately. I mean, like it's rare. And so, or mythical or magical. Same thing with the salesperson that sells that many units, 100 cars. So if you're not supporting that person, it's going to kind of blow up in flames. But so I concur. Let me get to the question. I am so impressed that you said service. Explain. Tell me your service process.
I'm going to give this out, man. And this is going to make a lot of people some money right here. And I've been doing this since my days of personal training. Okay. It's a free jewel right here. So I just wanted to know, I've never heard anyone else say it like this, but I have this thing that I've been calling from personal training called the 3 C's. You got your service area. Let's say you got 20 guests sitting in your service area. My 3 C's are conversate, correct, and come with me. So I find 3 people. You got to find 3. Don't get lazy and just try with 1 or try with 2. I find 3 people. So let's say I see you sitting there. I'm just going to give you a head nod. I'm going to wave. I'm going to smile. I'm going to make eye contact with you. I'm going to do that with 2 other people, preferably not sitting near each other because you don't want them to see what you're doing. Okay. I'm going to give that 5 minutes, let that marinate. I'm going to check out front, play on my phone, on my CRM real quick, hit some people. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to say, hey, man, what's going on? You here for oil change or something? Small conversation. Oh, I'm just getting tires, blah, 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 blah. Well, my name's Damian. If you need anything, just let me know, right? I've gained your name. I've gained out why you're here, what vehicle you're driving from that second point of contact. And I've done that with 3 people. So now I know who my hottest target is. Okay, I know who my hottest target is, who was the most receptive to conversation with me. And that's where I'm going to start for my 3rd one. So I'll come back. Hey, Sean, I know you said you were driving that 2018 Camaro and that you were getting some tires put on. I actually just looked at the vehicle and I see that Roger's your service advisor. Beautiful vehicle. You've done a great job of keeping that in great condition. Your vehicle's worth way more now than it was when you previously had purchased it. You probably can get a newer vehicle and lower your monthly payment. Come with me. I don't sit and say, are you interested? I don't do none of that. Come with me. And when I say that, right, I'm going to look him in his face and then I'm going to walk off. And 90% of the people, they grab their little coffee or they grab their little notebook and they come with me. And next thing you know, he's in a 2022 Camaro. I'm telling the service writer, we're going to cover that bill. Don't worry about it. We'll charge it to the stock number. And that's how it goes. Now, if he tells me no, I go to my second person that I have already, had the 2 points of contact with. And then I work to the 3rd. You never make it to the 3rd. You're always going to get that first or second person coming and saying yes. And then I just duplicate that process, because I look at it like this, how I trained my mind that when I see people sitting in service, I've tricked my mind to the point where I tell myself a story that they're sitting in service saying, please help me. I'm sitting here for 2 hours. Please help me. So the only way I could help them is I got to expedite their service process, where I can tell them to rush that, or I got to get them into a newer vehicle. It takes an hour and a half, 2 hours to get them through service. I can get them in and out of a car in 30 minutes and lower their payment. And Mr. Customer, there's no payment for 45 days. So I look at it as if I'm helping them, right? If I can lower their payment, if I can put them in a newer vehicle, I'm helping them. So if you have the ability to help someone, why not provide that service? Someone who first trained me in regards to sales, when I was in personal training, they said, look at it as if you have a cure for something that they need. If you do not tell that person, you're doing them a disservice. So if you can get somebody into a 2022 for less money than they're paying on a 2018, you're doing them a disservice if you don't tell them. And that's my mindset.
That is so powerful on so many different levels, brother. I mean, that is so strong. And here's the thing I want to share with you. NADA, the National Automobile Dealer Association, says that a service customer is 7 times as likely to purchase a vehicle from, where they service that car from. That's the first fact. The second fact is there's a lot of dealerships, okay, that have amazing service departments, that there's a lot of ROs. Think about this. ROs are repair orders. There's a whole classification of service customers that have never purchased a vehicle at that dealership. So they only have done service there because nobody's bothered to engage them and sell them on there, but they're already service customers. So here's what I say, and there's a point that I'm going to ask you on this, brother, is this. So many managers tell their people, work the service drive, work the service drive, work the service drive. I've been hearing it for 23 years. I've been in this industry, but very few people do. I have my opinion. I want to ask you, why do you think that? If people are always saying work the service drive, why does almost nobody work the service drive? And damn sure they don't do it at the level and intensity you do. So why is that?
Most of the cats that are selling cars, man, they're not selling cars. So I think there's selling cars, and then I think there's being able to service the guy who walks in and says, hey, I want to buy that Tahoe. Right? I sell cars, meaning I'm going to take someone who may not have necessarily came there 100% committed to buy a vehicle. And my high is to be able to show enough value to get them to make a move today. I think a lot of people don't realize I've always been taught 99% of the people who say they're going to come back or say they'll talk to me about it later, they never come back. They never talk to me about it later. So I'm going to create a sense of urgency for the right now, because I realize the probability of me seeing them again, it's going to be a while. The probability of me catching them when they're in service the next time, I want to go with right now. And that's the thing, it's a sense of urgency, and it's maximizing my time. Right. It's so many people that they come there. They don't want to talk to the people in service. I think it's the most foolish thing, because they've already said yes. They've already accepted to do some type of business with the dealership. It's just like, the closing ratio for someone that's doing F&I should be higher, because that's the second yes that they have to say. They've already said yes. So that's my opinion in regards to that. I don't understand why these cats don't work service. It's a gold mine. To me, I'm always like, thank you. Like, you don't got anyone in service? Thanks, man. Let's keep it that way. I'll show the value, because it's too easy, because they're already there. You have all their vehicles information. I don't have to go find it. I don't have to do a sight unseen appraisal. Hey, can you text me the VIN and send me some pictures over the phone? No, it's right here. No problem.
Listen, you're killing it, my friend. I agree with 100% of what you're saying, but I also have a different perspective as well. I think that there are certain people that are in this industry that are not trying to crack home runs. They're complacent with mediocrity. You know what I mean? They're complacent with good, but not great. There's a book from Jim Collins, From Good to Great.
Sure,
good, yeah. Great. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point. They think that if they're making, especially in this economy, in this grosses, if you're selling 20 cars, you could be making $18,000 or more and not have to do a lot of work. And they're like, okay, I'm cool with that. But people like us and other real hustlers in this automotive industry, they're like, nah, man, if I could do 20, like with one arm behind my back, shit, if I really went in at this, I might be able to get 40 cars or 45 cars, and then look what I could do. So I think part of it is there's a lot of people that are not realizing the massive opportunity for potential in gross and money and opportunity in this industry. So because they don't really respect that opportunity, they're not going at it. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, for me, my thing is like this, they got to respect themselves. So for me, if I'm going to spend X amount of hours at this dealership, I want to maximize my value. So you're spending 12 hours here and you're making $50 an hour. I'm spending 12 hours here. I'm making $500 an hour or $1,000 an hour, because I've had days like that. So it's just like maximize your time. I think it also starts, first and foremost, it starts from within. But I think in the auto industry, there needs to be a shift in the mindset in regards to the people that are leading the salespeople, right? Because you can only attract what you are. If you want to have a bunch of badasses who work the service drive and you're a sales manager, get your ass up and you go work the service drive and show them how it's done. So, maybe some of them just never seen the success. But if, they got to be motivated internally.
Amen. Here's the next reason. Lack of freaking education. Here's the problem in our industry. And this is to the managers, no disrespect, but you need to step up your game, because y'all telling everybody, go work the service drive, go work the service drive. And people are like, well, what the hell do I say? What the hell do I do? And there ain't shit written down anywhere. There's nobody teaching them anything. So we expect, we want, we coach, but you don't give the details. Here we have a sales professional out of the kindness of his heart, because there's no checks here. This is just a live stream and a podcast. He ain't making no money. He just dropped serious game to you people. He just broke down what to say, how to say, even got some acronym in there and numbers and shit to make it easy for you, like real some trainer stuff. Why is some random salesperson teaching all of us right now, the tens of thousands of people in this group and everybody else that listens to the podcast? Yeah, that should be the managers or a training company or both or whatever. If you want somebody to do something like maximize this thing, like the service drive opportunity, then you need to not just recommend it. You need to teach them, empower them. Brother, speak about that. Am I off basis here or what?
No, that's 100% correct. I'm just big on leading from the front. And that's one of the things I feel like this industry lacks. It's hard for somebody, but that's the thing, man. It's hard for a lot of these managers. These managers can't show somebody how to sell 50 cars if they've never sold 50 cars.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the industry constantly, people need to start practicing sharpening their sword. You got to constantly sharpen your sword, so I wrestled. I was state champ in wrestling. So you don't win states and then all of a sudden you just stop training. Like, you got to constantly keep training if you want to be the best. So, for any salespeople out there, if you're not getting that training in your store, invest in yourself. I say take a little bit of the money that you're making, whether it's 5% or 10% of what you're making, and put that back into yourself and treat yourself as if you're the business within a business. Because, like, for example, for me, I went to Atlanta, I killed it. I treated myself like a business. I invested in logos. I invested in backdrops. So when my guests take pictures, they're taking a picture with my backdrop. When my guests get a vehicle, they have my keychain on it. I have thank you cards. I send out to all like the orphans. Every dealership's got an orphan list, right? I find that orphan list. I'm going to find it. I don't give a damn how they try to hide it. I'm going to dig deep into the CRM. And I have a little card that has a baby on it. And it says, you've been adopted. And I introduce myself. Inside, there's a note. Hey, my name's Damian, a.k.a. DTheAutoPlug. You've been adopted. Invest in yourself, right? Investing in yourself will give you the biggest ROI.
Yo, I'm smiling because I'm big. I've been training for 18 years. I've had this company, my friend. And one of the things I believe is that there's 8 different ways that a showroom salesperson could sell a car. Walk-in ups, spots, be-backs, internet, phone, prior customers / orphan owners, service conversions, referrals, and the lost art of prospecting. And so one of the reasons why the majority of salespeople don't sell like numbers in the double digits, or like past 20s and stuff like that, is because they're only using maybe 2 to 3 out of those 8 ways. here you are massively successful, and you're talking about working the service drive. People don't want to do that shit because that's a waste of time. You're talking about orphan owners. People don't want to use those. Those are garbage. I mean, people around the dealership, I don't look at that stuff. That's stupid. Why are you going to do that? These people are ignorant and don't understand the basic mathematics and the statistical, details here. I mean, the highest closing ratio as per NADA is a prior customer, a referral, a service drive person. So if the people that track this data on a whole national level are telling you that these are the most important things, then why are you working on the least important things? So that's brilliant, man, that you're doing that. You've identified the highest value prospect or opportunity, and you're engaging that. So that's amazing. How long did that take you to figure out? Was it, year one, it's 6 months? Like, how long were you before you're like, no, I can't just eat off of Fresh Ups or the internet stuff. I need to diversify. I need to go get mine. When did it happen?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Attention auto dealers. You need an opportunity to do business. AutoWeb is one of the largest suppliers of high quality leads. High quality buyers. At a 10% closing ratio, you will be at less than $190 per car sold. Don't just settle for what you get. AutoWeb can fully customize your results through targeted markets and/or zip codes, and as a partner, you will get premium placement within search results. Who better to do that than literally the people that invented automotive internet sales? If you want to sell more cars more often and more profitably, then you need AutoWeb.
So for me, I'm blessed that I was able to jump in and just hit the ground running. Like my first 2 weeks in Atlanta, I did 25 cars just because I realized that there's always going to be a hole, and you got to constantly look for opportunities. I'm a big believer that action creates action. So I'm not going to sit and wait for it to come to me. I'm going to go out and find it. And that's just how I've always looked at it. And even now I'm constantly looking like, okay, how can I get better? How can I get better? How can I get better? What am I missing? Where am I weak? Okay, I could get better on my follow-up, because I've always looked at it like it's like harvesting, right? Like you got your crops and you got your harvest that's ready to eat right now. You got your harvest that'll be ready to eat in a few months. And then you got your harvest that'll be ready to eat in a year. So I just always want to make sure that I have enough food at every season, at every month. I want to have enough opportunity to be able to eat and be able to sustain my lifestyle and be able to do the things that I like to do. So I realized that if somebody says no, it's not necessarily a no, it's a not right now. And that's been my mindset. So I just love to keep that pipeline and just realize it's just a numbers game too. What I quickly did was I found out what my closing percentage was, and I know how many people I got to talk to hit my numbers. And just work backwards.
Yeah, when you explain that service strategy, you just drop some knowledge on people. So I want to go back to the orphan owners, because you kicked some game that I think was really good. Like how you send them the car with the baby and adopt. I love that. But explain to us, let's have a quick conversation for about a couple minutes on orphan owners. So for everybody listening, especially if there's any new people listening, an orphan owner is nothing crazy. It basically means that someone purchased a vehicle at your dealership, their sales consultant is no longer there, or they're no longer in that position. So what normally happens is they either get put in some list, or they get spammed to everybody on the floor, or they get held as secret bones and gifts, to be handled by the hierarchy of whatever. But regardless, that's what those things are. So it's important to understand the value. What people don't realize is that, man, the statistic is it's a prior customer. NADA says the highest closing ratio is a prior customer. It doesn't matter if they bought the car from you as the salesperson, they are a prior customer of that dealership you work at. So if you work at ABC Motors and you have somebody that is an orphan, that they don't have a salesperson there anymore, these people purchased a vehicle at your dealership. It's already been done before. Like you said even before, like about the first, second contact. You already got the contact. So now you should have an easier way to go through this. So talk us through this. What is your strategy when you try to, reach your orphan owners? Do you try to email them, text them? Like once you find an orphan owner, I heard the first email, but how much do you try to get a hold of them, and kind of just like give us some details of, if you get a hold of them, what do you say to them?
It's a slow play. So
okay.
those orphans and all that, that's my That's my down the road harvest. So just a soft play. Hey, how you doing? My name is Damian. I'm now entrusted with your account. Just want to let you know if you need any help with anything, whether it's just, setting a service appointment up for you or any questions you have in regards to the dealership. Here's my info. Feel free to reach out. That's my first little initial engagement. Because everybody expects, oh, it's a car salesman. He wants to sell me something. So I do what's called pattern interruption. When they think I want to sell them something, I'll flip it. No, sir, I want to buy your vehicle. You interested in selling your vehicle? Because I don't want them to see it coming from a million miles away. That's what they expect, man. They don't expect us to have their best interest. So I make sure that they know, look, this ain't about that. So sometimes I'll get calls from those orphans. Hey, man, I'm trying to get through to service. I can't reach them. Can you set my appointment? Absolutely. No problem. I'll call you back in 10 minutes. And I do it because it's a business, right? If you owned a business, right, and it was called Sean's Pizza Shop, right? If someone comes and they say to you, hey, Sean, the bathroom's leaking, you're not going to just say, oh, man, I'm only selling pizza to you. If you got any other issue, I'm not handling it. No, I'm going to address everything for them. And I establish myself as their point of contact for anything related to cars. Anything.
I love it. You know who does that too? Cody, Ali. The best people in the country, like yourself, are following that one best practice. Ali says all the time, why the hell would I risk my relationship, all these referrals with somebody at the service writer or somebody dropping the ball? I want to create the environment. And I know for a fact, Ali, I've interviewed him a bunch of times. I'm friends with him. He said something to me that shocked me at his level. I mean, this guy sold 209 cars in December, like facts, in 1 month. Somebody that sells that many cars, here's what he tells me. He tells every one of his people that if they, God forbid, get into a car accident, they got a flat tire, call my cell phone number before you even call AAA or roadside assistance, because Ali has a relationship with the local tow truck place. And he knows unequivocally that if something happens, his contact, the salesperson's contact, not the dealership, not the OEM, will actually get to that client faster and take better care of them. And so like that blew my mind, is like, holy crap, you're selling that many cars and you're telling everybody to come to me if you need a service appointment, if you've got any question. He said, Sean, everything. I am the gatekeeper. I'm air traffic control with anything to do with the dealership, because I want to protect that relationship. You know what I mean? Like, this is a relationship piece. And it's amazing hearing the same thing from you. So man, spot on. Okay, so with the Orphan Owners, I want to reiterate what you just said. Reiterate what you said. You said to me and to everybody that it's a slow play. Man, that right there is a super value tip, because what happens is, to your exact point, somebody gets Orphan Owners out of desperation or allocation. You know what I mean? The managers give you whatever, you got them. You're going to call them, and then you say in that first phone call, hey, by the way, either you try to come in and sell them a car or a presentation, or you ask them for referrals. You know what I mean? You don't deposit into the emotional bank account. You're just trying to withdraw, buy something, or give me a referral, something like that. So man, again, brilliant. I don't hear a lot of salespeople that think like you as far as pacing yourself. Like, again, boom, this is the long play. I'm going to first start the relationship, the rapport, and it might be a back and forth dialogue. Man, like, how did you learn that strategy? Was that taught to you, or is it common sense?
Just adding value. Adding value. I think everything's about adding value. And just understanding that, like, when I work hard to build something, I don't want to have to constantly keep trying to find more and more. I want to maximize the community that I create. So just adding value, like even partnering up with businesses, right? Like I'll go to barbershops, like, hey, I sell a bunch of cars over here. I don't know if you're interested in it, but I put together gift bags for all my guests. Would you be open to doing like 20% off a haircut or something? It's going to get you a lot of leads. So just those little things, it makes my people feel like, damn, he appreciates us. Because I always like to quote like different things. And then like Jay-Z has something. If you ever go to a Jay-Z concert, he's like, I like to thank you for coming out. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. So nowadays with technology, people can buy a vehicle offline, right? There's so many car dealerships out there, but the fact that they're giving me an opportunity to provide my service to them, it means a lot to me. And I don't ever want to forget that, because people can choose to do business with whoever they want. So,
bro, like you're like Yoda. I mean, like, you got some knowledge. I mean, like, I'm being honest with you. I've interviewed a lot of people, but your swag is on point. I mean, like, you're just very calm and you're like, boom, boom, boom. But your mindset is highly sophisticated. It's highly strategic. And you are spot on with everything that you just said. I would concur. As a matter of fact, I'm laughing because I did the same shit that you were doing. When I was working at Weiss Lincoln Mercury Mazda, I have relationships with the military bases, with McGuire Air Force Base, with the military, with the law enforcement, with the local police departments. Man, I would do whatever I could to be able to generate interest other than what was coming through the front door. You know what I mean? Like, I thought of myself back then like a real estate agent, because like when somebody gets their real estate license, they got to advertise on billboards or in diner mats and wherever to try to get attention. And I never knew like why more car people didn't think like a hustler, didn't think like the business itself. Too many times people in our industry, they just wait for the magic up bus to come through instead of creating that opportunity. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they rather wait for the magic up bus than do all the stuff that you're talking about?
There's a lot of people in the industry that I think there's a lot of people in the industry who baby weak salespeople. For me, like, my mindset is like less is more. I rather have less dogs than to have a whole bunch of like sheeps. And that's just my mindset. People wait because that's just who they are. You're always going to have those people that are just living an average life. Those are the same people that they're never going to date the pretty girl. They're never going to drive the nice car because they've accepted that. And I think that's always going to be like that. It's always going to be like that. And you're going to have a select few that, really take the initiative. And that's going to be the people that look back and are like, man, I got everything that I wanted to get out of the industry. And I work the industry as opposed to the industry working me. Right. That's why people that are like, man, I've been doing this I hate these guys that have been selling cars for like 30 years and say, man, I've been doing this for 25 years. I know what I'm doing. If you've been selling cars, bro, and you're doing the same amount of numbers for the same amount of years, right, and you're a 20 car guy and you've been selling cars for 25 years, you don't know what you're doing. Because I feel like if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Yeah, this is the gift and the curse of our industry, especially now. Like, think of what the inventory crisis with these freaking market adjustments. People are making $10,000, $12,000 over MSRP on used cars, on used Tellurides. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing Hyundai salespeople making $1,000 commission on a freaking Hyundai. No disrespect. I'm just saying this is like opposite world and SpongeBob and shit for me. You know what I mean? Like, I've been doing this 23 years and seeing what's going on. And it's a shame because the people that are selling cars now in the last 2 years, they have literally no clue of what the real life was like not too long ago, just 2 years ago. And I'm not saying we're ever going to go back, but I think that there's a false sense of security that because it's so easy, I don't need to hustle hard and practice and learn and diversify my thing. I mean, it's like Kobe, it was like he worked harder than anybody else possible because it was Kobe Bryant. He didn't just stop working out because I'm Kobe, I got all these rings, I'm good. No, he pushed himself on a ridiculous, inhuman level to just find perfection. It seems like you're trying to master your craft and polish yourself to be the ultimate, manifestation of an automotive professional, bro. That's crazy.
I am. And that's why I said I'm constantly looking at ways to get better. And I'm constantly looking for an environment that supports that, because it's got to be the right setup. Like, LeBron didn't become LeBron alone. He had coaches along the way that assisted him. He had a team that supported that. And I'm just a huge believer in that, right? Like, one of my favorite players of all time, Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan also had Greg Popovich. Right. So you got to be in a system that is set up for you to be successful at that level, because otherwise you're only going to be to get to a certain point unless you have, that dealership and that community that's bought into that. Right. Otherwise, that's just really how I feel about that.
All right. So the orphan owner, man, that was strong. Let's go to referrals. Okay. So here's the thing. I think referrals are an amazing thing, but I want your opinion. I think most salespeople are lazy. They're like a lazy tiger. I joke. What I mean by lazy tiger is it's like the lion that doesn't wait for the fastest gazelle. It waits for the one that's going to be the weakest to just swipe its at its haunches. So a lot of times I see salespeople, they don't really try to build referrals. What they do is when they sell a car, as infrequently as they do sell a car, right? They'll say to somebody, hey, I do a good job. Okay, good. If you know anybody else that might need a car, let me know and I'll hook you up, or something like that. I mean, it's so stupid. They only ask the people that they sold the car to. I have a different philosophy. I believe that you need to be generating referral agents, not just, a referral person or get a referral from somebody. You want to try to activate, people out there. Let's take us back to a previous life. Give an example. Law enforcement has informants. Okay. And that's how the military does it. The CIA, the NSA, they have informants in the foreign countries and stuff like that. That's how, people infiltrate and how people conquer stuff like that. You can't do it just by yourself. Same thing here is if you want to sell cars and if you're the only one that's responsible for getting you ups or deals, you're a solopreneur. You're not an entrepreneur. You're a solopreneur. You're a one-man show, right? However, if you could figure out a way, how can I get somebody to give me a referral at least once a week, hopefully once a day? Now, are those normal? No, that might be a bartender, a waitress. It might be somebody who works at the gym, somebody that's got access to a ton of people. You know what I'm saying? So again, if you don't ask those questions to these people, you're never gonna be able to get to that next level. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, 100%. So one of the things that I do as soon as someone says yes, their paperwork's done, there's always going to be that little window where they're waiting to go into finance. I got index cards and I ask for 5 people that they know would benefit from getting a great vehicle for an amazing price. And I get their name, phone number, and if they know their email, I get it right then and there. So they write it down and then I say, hey, let's call them. And I call them right in front of that guest while they're still on that high from buying that vehicle. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? This is D. I'm over here with Sean. Just got him in this 2022 Tahoe. He told me that you're his sister and that you currently drive X, Y, and Z. Just want to set up a time where I can meet you. I'm new to the community and I just want to meet you. Sean was a great person to work with. And I'm sure anyone he knows is also amazing. I don't necessarily always go for the sale right away. I'm just trying to get contact with people. And then as soon as your sister comes in, I'm getting 5 names from her. And then I'm constantly just throwing that into my CRM and just slow playing it. Hey, happy holidays. I just want them to keep seeing my face and keep hearing my name. Hey, happy holidays. Hey, happy holidays. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on this. Any way I can help, I will. Sometimes I get calls like, hey, not looking to get a Chevy, interested in getting a Toyota. Just wanted your opinion. And I'm like, no problem. Just because I'm establishing myself as that person, that expert that they can trust and that they can rely on. And my thing is every conversation doesn't have to be about the sale. That's going to come. You got some people that want to do business today and you got some people that want to do business tomorrow, but the way you treat them has to be consistent and has to be the same high level.
Man, listen, I'm gonna take it back to what you just said like a couple minutes ago. That's crazy. That's the discipline that you had. Did you guys hear what this man just said? He turns around in that little window, like before they get into finance or have you, right? That you have them fill out these index cards for 5 referrals. And then you have the audacity. I'm just joking. I love it. I think it's brilliant. You have the audacity to turn around and have them call their referrals right there in front of you. That is bro. That is because crazy.
I don't believe in the whole, like they'll do it later. I don't believe in the whole they'll do it later. I need it right now.
But you have to have confidence. There's so many people that, I don't get this either. If you're an automotive professional, they feel icky or they feel weird, like being, I think, confident or being proactive like that. You know what I mean? And that's why they never get to that next level because they're soft. They're afraid they might offend somebody or it might be too upfront and they're constantly judging themselves and questioning themselves into inaction. Am I right or wrong? Do you see that around?
100%. For me, I just look at it the same thing that I was taught by one of my OGs when it came to being a young guy in my neighborhood trying to talk to different women. All they can tell me is no. I've been told no so many times that I'm going to just smile. Right? I'm going to try to objection handle it real quick and try to close. And if not, you move on. All they can do is tell me no, but I look at it like realistically out of every person that I sell, if I can average 2.5 referrals out of them, I'm good because you take 60 times 2.5. I end up coming in at around 150 for referrals. So every month I'm getting 150 of my own leads that's generated.
Yeah. So what's the most amount of referrals that closed in 1 month for you?
I think it was like 17. I did like 17. Most of the months it's like 8 to like 12 is like typically what I run. But I'll tell you a story in Atlanta. I had somebody that throughout the course of a year, they made like 15 grand as like a little referral agent for me.
That's what's up.
Yeah, we had one person. They started bringing, and they were tapped in Atlanta, so they were bringing great referrals. Like they brought me a few people from like Love and Hip Hop. Like they were good. They were strong. Yeah, they were a strong referral person because they get bought in.
How did you find someone like that? And how did you?
I sold her a vehicle. They get bought in. They start to love the high. Next thing you know, like you got like little mini car salespeople because they love the high. They're coming with the referral and they're trying to close the referral. You know, you walk away and they're like, girl, I'm telling you, it ain't going to get better than this. He gives the best deals out, you know, so they start to be advocates. They become brand advocates, you know, and then you take care of them. So it's like, if I got someone that sent me 4 referrals, I'll send them lunch. You know, just call them, hey man, I'm lunch on me today. Because to me, I just look at it like that 4 that they sent, it's going to constantly keep multiplying. So anybody who's supported my business, why not go the extra mile for them?
Because most people don't think like you. That's why most people don't do what you do and make what you make. I love this, man. Like, this is awesome. The amount of detail that you put into this. You know, like if you're listening to this, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it takes to be successful. And look at how much he's flowing through all aspects of his philosophy. And he's so diversified. He's like an MMA fighter. I mean, it's not just, you know, striking, it's wrestling, it's judo, it's jiu-jitsu. That's what you got to do. You got to be diversified as an automotive professional. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure that you're diversified, but you're qualified in all the diversified areas to be able to maximize your whole potential. So now you said you wrestle, and I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu for many, many years. My kid wrestles now and he does jiu-jitsu. So there's some similarities and stuff like that. But just conceptually, you know, you've got like an athlete's mindset. To be a wrestler, man, is crazy. You know, I mean, I never was a wrestler. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy though, but the amount of conditioning, the cardio, the weight training, the drilling, the practice, it's crazy to wrestle. And you said that you were a division champion or what have you, or something like with accolades. Then that already tells me your mindset. Forget about the street stuff and the hustle, because that tells me something too. But just the athlete. I try to say this to people, and I want to get your opinion on this, is that like if we say if you look at like an NFL athlete, we're just talking about that, that's pretty big. But then think of the Olympics. To me, the Olympics are bigger than the NFL. You know what I mean? It's worldwide. Now think of a multi-gold medalist in the Olympics. To me, that is the most powerful, the preeminent athlete. There's nothing more talented or as far as scaling athletic ability, which to me is a multi-gold medalist in the Olympics. But that level is so much higher than like a little kid's peewee football team for like seven-year-olds, right? But they're both are athletes. One's at the Olympic level at a gold medalist level, and one is in the peewee. See, that is the potential in the automotive industry. You know what I mean? Like, again, the level that you're at, and Ali Retta and Cody Carter and Frank Cornetti and Chrissy Burton, all y'all that in that category, that's like the super elite status. That's like the Olympian gold medalist status. But you know, that might not be realistic for everybody all the time, but the potential is there, one. But there's still a lot of areas below that. I mean, shit, you know, if you're selling 70 cars, 77 cars, almost 80 cars, right? I mean, there's people like the national average is 10. It's less than 10 cars. So to get somebody that's doing 10, 20 cars to doing 20, 30 cars or 30, 40 cars is absolutely realistic. But you have to understand the potential and want to be able to maximize. So what advice do you have for people listening to this that think, oh, I can't ever do what Damian's doing. He's special. I can't do this.
I think the biggest thing, and this is something that I learned from wrestling and something that I've learned from my time playing football, because I also had college scholarship for football. You got to take what the defense gives you. Meaning in wrestling, when I wrestled and I'm in neutral, I was always on attack. But I base my offense off of their defense. So you got to constantly be able to adapt. You can't approach every single guest with the same tactics. You can't approach every single guest with the same approach. You have to be able to adapt. You know, some days you're not going to get it from service. It's just not going to happen. You might have to get it from the lot. You might have to get it from the phones. but you have to make a promise and a commitment to yourself that you're not going to accept. Like, I'm not coming to a dealership and I'm not getting 2 cars a day minimum. Like, if I'm getting out of bed and I'm coming in and I'm getting in my car and I'm coming into deal, I need 2 cars. That's like this, like, I'm not coming in for that. And you have to have that mindset. Anything less than that, you can't make an excuse. You can't justify it. It's all right, man. It happens to the best. No, fuck that. I'm here. I got to get mine. If I'm coming in, I have to sell, and I have to approach this with a sense of urgency, and anything less than success is unacceptable. And that's the difference. I'm not coming to a dealership to be friends with people. I'm not coming here to sit and talk with people about the show that was on or the basketball game. I'm here to get paid, because I realize if I don't produce, I won't be here no matter how great of a conversation I have. So while I'm here, I'm going to maximize my time. I'm constantly looking for a deal. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking for a deal at all hours. I'm not sitting and talking about, yeah, man, the Knicks lost yesterday, or yeah, Golden State just won. Look for a deal at all times. Stay relentless with that. Okay. Boom. There's nothing going on in the front. No one's pulling in. Go to service. Okay. No one's pulling in the service. Grab a list. I've stood out in front of the dealership on the phone with a list of guests in front of me on the point, watching what's coming in, because I want to maximize my time. Then I got on my cell phone. I got VinSolution or eLeads going. So it's just maximize your time, right? You're going to come in for a 12-hour shift. Utilize it to your full advantage and be as productive as possible.
Yo, fire. Absolutely fire. A couple more questions. Like, I love what you said just now about that referral agent. They get intoxicated, they get enticed, man. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's because they're feeling you, they're part of the tribe, and they want to, you know what I mean? Like, look at Nicki Minaj has her barbs. I mean, like, when you have, like, you're building a tribe of people that really like you and appreciate you, especially if you're helping them and you're going above and beyond. So if that's the case, how do you juggle all of that? Like, where does someone start? You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about all these different things. How do you prioritize? Like you mentioned, if there's not, an up, then you're going to, check the service drive. If somebody didn't pull up there, get a list. I love that. How do you recommend for the average person listening to this show that say, man, I'm not even doing a fraction of what this guy's doing. I want to do something like he's doing. Where do I start? How do I get right?
So this is what I use to base my time in regards to how I delegate my time. And I've never shared this with anyone else before. You're going to take your last 90 days of sales. Okay. You're going to take your last 90 days of sales. You want to look and you want to see what day you sold this car and what time you sold those cars. Okay. So my slowest day, you're going to delegate 4 hours on your slowest day. So if you might have sold in 90 days, you sold 1 car on Tuesdays, you take Tuesdays and you take a 4-hour block and you make that your phone block, because you're not selling shit on Tuesdays. So go ahead and load up them appointments and work the phone on that Tuesday. Most people don't know when they're selling most of their cars. Obviously, we're going to have, traditionally, faster paced days, our Saturdays or Fridays. Some states, they allow it to be open on a Sunday, and that'll typically be a good day. But maximizing the time and understanding, okay, so most of my sales come after 4 o'clock. Okay, so if you're not selling shit in the mornings, you're hitting that phone and you're working service. So that's how you maximize your time, understanding where the production's at. You also want to know, okay, when's the busiest time for service? When does my dealership get the most amount of appointments for service? You write that down. You have that understanding. When do we get most of our ups? So you got to understand that. Otherwise, you're just running around and it's like you're that car, that high performance car with an engine, but you don't have a GPS set up. So you don't have no path to success. So you got to understand when things are flowing. When's the busiest time for service? That's when you want to be there. When's the busiest time for, lot traffic? That's when you want to be there. When's the slowest time? That's when you want to hit the phones. So I look at it like Tuesdays for me, it really is not a lot going on Tuesdays before 4 o'clock. So I'm going to pound those phones and I'm going to pound service. And I'm not worried about the 1 car or 2 cars that may pull up during that time. I charge that to the game for the greater good, because the amount of appointments that I'm going to get from calling my list and following up with my people is going to supersede the 1 or 2 cars that I may pass on. So you got to have discipline and you got to have blocks for your time. On the weekends, I'm not hitting the phones. Why the hell am I hitting the phones on a Saturday? I'm not doing that. I don't care who tries to say something to me about you got an overdue task. I'm not calling them. Don't come to me and talk to me about that on a Saturday, because I'm gonna pillage this lot on this Saturday, because that's maximizing my time. And just delegate accordingly. Go back 90 days, check your times, and you're going to start to see, I don't care who it is, you'll see consistency in the times and the days at which you sold vehicles.
All right, let's talk money. What's the most amount that you made in a month gross for yourself?
I posted it on Instagram, January of 2022, from the 1st to the 31st. I did $93,000.
What?
I posted my paycheck from Multi-Pro.
So you grossed 93. So how much did you make yourself for that month?
I made $93,000 before taxes.
Damn. Okay. So $93,000. Now in a year, what's the most that you brought in a year?
This year would have been my top year. If I stayed where I was at. I was typically doing like anywhere from like 45 to 60. So I was pacing around like 600.
All right, so let's stop there for a second. Okay, so holy crap, you did $93,000 in income in 1 month.
And I posted it on Instagram with the actual snapshot from Ulti-Pro, because I never ever want to say something that I can't validate, because unfortunately so many people just say things. But that was my best month that I've ever had in the industry. I made $93,000 before taxes.
That's crazy. So let's talk this through. The average American is only making like $40,000 a year. And here you are, more than doubling what the average American does in a year, you did in a month, as an ex-convict, as somebody that spent all that time in jail. What a blessing that is, man. Like, I don't know how many people that have said this to you, but I have mad respect for you, and you should be very proud of yourself, because, it's hard to be successful with everything, even with a trust fund and things like that. It's crazy, but to come from so far in a different direction to the level, there's brain surgeons and astronauts that don't make $93,000 in a month. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's people from Harvard and Yale, or Harvard and Yale, and Oxford combined, that don't make $93,000 in a month. So again, that's inspirational, man. So you are living proof that this industry is amazing. It doesn't matter what your circumstance was. It doesn't matter what you went through, how difficult your life is. If you have the desire to be successful and the freaking mindset and the work ethic, anybody's capable of doing more. Would you agree with that?
100%. For me, one of the largest driving factors is I realized that I've overcame adversity, and that I came from a troubled past, and I never want to close the door for someone else who comes from a similar situation. So my thing is, I want to blow the door open so much that when the next person gets out and wants an opportunity, they say, damn, look what D did, man. We got to give this guy a shot. So for me, I never want to mess it up for the next individual. And I just want to constantly keep rewriting the narrative.
Yo, how long have you been in the industry total again?
About 2.5 years.
You've only sold cars for 2.5 years?
2.5 years, man.
Yo, okay. Listen, I'm glad we connected, and I'm not going to say anything, but there's a lot of eyes on you, my brother, nationally right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, because we're live streaming this, I'm not going to say, I actually have phone calls to me from people nationally about you. So again, this is the first time I've had a conversation with you before. And like this, again, DMing for a little bit. I'm not counting that. And again, you have a lot of substance, but holy shit, my dude, to your point earlier, there's people that have been doing this for 30 years, and have never even scratched the surface of what you just did in 2.5 years. That is mind blowing, but it shows. I hear Cassidy in my voice from Philly. I'm a hustler, which is like a Jay sample. I'm as I'm hearing you talk, I hear those break beats. I'm a hustler right now in a legit way. You're on your grind. You're grinding that shit out, but you're using it with tactical precision. You're surgically engaging the automotive industry. Damn, bro, 2.5 years. After doing 6 years in prison and all the shit you've been through, you turn around and left that bullshit behind you and you're on track to do over $500,000. Like, God bless America, man. For real. There should be fucking flags and fireworks put about now. Shit. For real, bro.
For real. And to me, that's why I'm like, man, I love this country, because there's nowhere else you can really do that, man. And just in that short.
Do you have your own website? Do you have your own website?
I operate everything off of social media. My website's getting built up right now.
For what kind of platform are you going to use?
I got somebody working on it. I bought the domain from GoDaddy, so it's just going to be www.DTheAutoPlug.com. And I'm just with a couple ideas.
So you haven't started construction yet, right?
I haven't started construction.
Good, because guess what? I'm gonna hook you up. I'm on my fucking Steve Harvey shit right now. So I work with a company called Build a Brand. I don't make $1 from them. I don't get any referrals from them. I'm not a partner to them. They're just one of my like very close friends. The guy that's the owner, his name's Brian Chapman. He was the vice president of a dealer group, the Homer Skelton Auto Group. So he's a car guy, then he has a software. So I don't know if you've seen the Build a Brand platforms. That's a full-blown like website, digital business card, inventory integration, all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? They cost like $2,000. I'm going to give you it for free with no strings attached, nothing. Now, real recognizes real, man. This is on some, honestly, Steve Harvey shit. Like, again, I'm blessed. I mean, I came from all I did, broke $50 million, bro. I'm a millionaire car salesman. That's why I started this group, is because if I could do this shit, if I could turn around and I lost 6 years of my life too, but not 3 years in juvenile, 3 years in the feds. You know what I mean? So again, I've been there. At 22 years old, I lost 6 years of my life already. That's crazy. And then I got into the automotive industry 23 years ago, and it saved my life. My wife's in this. My 2 daughters are in this. My nephew's in this. My brother's in this. My close friends are in this industry. This industry is amazing. So to see another person engage the industry that I love as much as I do, and with such precision, to do it in such a short time, salute, brother. I mean? Like, you deserve that. So if I can help you in any way, I'm going to turn around and get the website for you. If you never heard of Build a Brand, just go to buildabrand.com. And I'm going to just put this on here. I'm going to show you. So my daughter used to average 20 cars a month when she was like 19 years old. She's now 23. She spent 3 years on the front lines. So I'm just going to show you the website right here. All right. So if you go to tgotyourkeys.com. So T Got Your Keys, that was her brand. You know what I mean? Her brand is T Got Your Keys. So she's got her own website. And again, it's pretty crazy, but what's pretty dope about it, it's got full inventory integration. So your dealer.
That's nice.
So what's kind of cool about this, when you go through this, and I'm not selling, like I said, I make it nothing. This is a gift. I'm on my Steve Harvey shit right now. So if you look at this, she's her own VDP. Do you see what I'm saying? So again, right now, when you email links, they're from the dealership. Now, like, everything that comes back. And then on top of that, watch this. There's resources. She's got a whole blog section here and ebooks. So the site generates like leads. So there's the thing on here, like tips for buying a car with no credit, or how to get most for your trade. But for people to get the free ebook, they got to put their name and phone number. So it's pretty dope. Nice. There's a blog for SEO. And then look at this with the referrals. There's a whole entire section for referrals where you put this on the website, and then people can start registering referrals here. There's a whole entire process and everything. And so again, this is a complete website, so people could build their brand within the dealership's brand. So for you as an automotive professional, now you have your own website. And what my daughter was doing, she got nationally recognized because she's got a girlfriend, so she's in the LGBT community. So when she built her website, she was going to Instagram and Facebook ads. And she had a budget of $400 a month as a salesperson, that she paid herself. And then what happened was she was driving traffic. She has an ad. All it says is proudly serving the LGBT community. Not for everybody, but for her, right? Mm-hmm. She got a woman to drive an hour and 20 minutes on a 6G front end on a used car before the pandemic because of a freaking $6 ad on Instagram. So all the stuff that you're doing now, think about this, entrepreneur. If car sales is like owning your own business, your dealership has a website. Why? Your manufacturer, Chevy, has a website. Why is a dealership? Because the dealership business has nothing to do with the manufacturer, except for the products that they're selling. Their monies are not the same. So again, just because your dealership has a website, okay, skippity doodly do. So fucking what? That's good for the dealership. For a high level salesperson like yourself, you need your own website. 100%. And you need to turn and drive traffic to your website organically, word of mouth, and very cheaply. Jesus, if you're making $93,000 in a month, my dude, all you got to do is spend a little bit of money to drive traffic with Facebook, Instagram ads, WhatsApp ads, things like that. Shit costs like, $3, $5, $10, whatever it is, to drive leads to your website. And your website is a 24/7 infomercial PR hub for your positive propaganda. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So I got you. I got your phone number and like that. So after we do this tomorrow, I'm going to have my people reach out to you, get you onboarded. And again, completely free. You don't need to buy shit, do shit. Sean Bradley sent you. I got you. It says real respecting your grind, man. So it's my little pleasure to do that for you. All right.
I appreciate that, man. Yes, sir.
All right. Let me kill this thing over here. So everybody in the Millionaire Car Salesman group, leave your comments. This was a good one. This was a really good interview. I'm really excited, to meet DTheAutoPlug. All right, people.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and remember, where I'm from, money provides options. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is sponsored in part by AutoWeb. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.